Over the past few years, podcasting has become the trendiest topic in every room. Everyone seems to be talking about it, but so many people feel stuck because they think they need fancy gear or a really big team to get started. I'm here to show you how I run my entire podcast solo with no fancy budget, no tech headaches, and no team member working for me behind the scenes. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact tools, setup, and workflows I use so you can hit record on your first podcast this week. But before we begin, if you're new here, my name is Hunter Myers and I am the face and mind behind Verdure Design Co. and the host of the Brand Buy podcast. Through strategy-led design, I help bold founders build magnetic brands that sell with confidence and clarity. And here on this channel, we treat brand building a little bit like dating because both require chemistry, commitment, and sometimes just taking a leap of faith. Now let's get into it. The very first thing you're going to need when starting a podcast is your topic and your format. Now, chances are, this is what got you thinking about starting a podcast in the first place. You either had a topic that you felt like you could talk about for hours, or you realized how much you like chatting with people and thought, I wonder if I could do this on a podcast. Whatever it was, that's where you're going to start. Next, you need to decide how you're going to format it. Are you going to do audio only? Are you going to have a video podcast? Do you want to have guests? Are you going to be filming it solo? If you aren't quite sure, just pick one to start. You can always change it down the line. I personally do video and audio as well as guest podcasts and solo episodes. But if you need fewer roadblocks to just get started, I highly recommend doing audio only, solo episodes, and just hitting that record button. Again, you can always adjust this down the line. After you've decided, you're also going to need a title and cover image. And for this step, I have the simplest advice. Just pick something and start. Overthinking it is not going to be helpful here, I swear. Again, you can change this down the line. Don't get stuck in perfection, okay? The whole point of this video is to get you on that podcast journey as quickly as possible. So perfection is not your friend here. I have seen and helped so many podcasters rebrand after they have started. And this is completely normal. For example, a client of mine, Faith Ashenden, came to me to rebrand her podcast after she was a few seasons in. And Jess from the Peaking podcast reached out to me after running a solo show when she decided that she wanted to partner together with a friend of hers, Caroline, to start the Not For Everyone podcast. And so we teamed up to brand them too. Point being, there's a really good chance you are going to be making changes down the line. So don't get too hung up on this initial part. What is most important is that you just start. Once you get a few episodes under your belt, you can always come back and revisit this. Now, let's dive into the topic that scares a lot of people and keeps them from starting. And this would be the gear. This is me shouting from the rooftop right now. You do not need a $500 setup to sound good. All you really need is a decent microphone and a quiet enough space to record. So for me, I use an Audio-Technica mic attached to a Knox gear, hopefully you guys can see it, little boom stand. That's it. It was super easy to set up and for the most part has pretty good audio quality, and the whole setup cost me under $200. The only downside of this microphone is sometimes you do have to get really close to it for it to pick up the sound that you want it to, but outside of that, and again, as like a starter mic, I think it's great. Now there are plenty of other microphones out there, and if budget really is a big factor, I would recommend starting with something cheaper and just seeing if you even like recording podcasts in the first place. Again, you can always upgrade this down the line. Now, if you're wanting to record video podcasts as well, this is something really, really important that you need to listen to. As tempting as it may be to spend the better part of your budget on a really, really fancy camera, it is so much more important that your audio quality is good. I'm gonna say that again. Even if you want to spend all your money on a fancy camera, it is more important that your audio quality is good. For my videos, I kid you not, I just hook my iPhone up to a little USB cord and attach it to my computer. That's it. There is no need for you to go out and buy a fancy camera to start when you already have a pretty damn good one in your pocket. Trust me. And honestly, when I first started my podcast, so before I was using the iPhone, I was just using my webcam. Now, the video quality was straight trash. You can see that in some of my earlier videos. But it got me started. Now, when I was wanting to get more serious about the video side of things and uploading the podcast to YouTube, that's when I started researching a bunch of external cameras. And I also found myself using the hard decision excuse that was keeping me from recording better videos in the first place. So eventually I was like, you know what? Let's try this iPhone setup, see how it works. And quite frankly, I love it. Is it a studio quality production? No, but it doesn't need to be. It is so much better to be recording imperfectly with an iPhone or even your computer's webcam than to not be recording at all because you don't have the best gear. So if you've stuck with me till now, I know that you are pretty damn serious about starting this podcast. So stick with me till the end because things are going to start getting really, really interesting. So you've got your idea, your format, your gear. Now, where the hell do you record? When I first started, I was recording my episodes just on Zoom. I added in the Fathom note taker because it allowed me to take clips and it transcribed everything for me, but everything was done on Zoom. I already had an account. It was easy to set up, free enough because I was already paying for it. And I knew how to use it, which helped get over the hump of, oh, how am I gonna learn a new platform, right? But after a few seasons and confirming that I actually wanted to continue doing this, I started exploring other softwares. And that is when I found Riverside, which was a complete game changer for the quality of the podcasts I was recording. Now, here are a few reasons that I love Riverside for podcasting. First off, each person records on a separate track, which means we don't have to worry about the internet lag ruining a recording. We've all been on one of those Zoom meetings where we're like, hello? Can you hear me? Are you still there? Recording on separate tracks completely eliminates this issue. Secondly, it doubles as an editing software. So prior, when I was using Zoom and Fathom, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Riverside will do it all for me. Cool, right? And the most amazing part, it also creates social ready clips for me using its AI platform, which is a really huge bonus for someone who is doing it all themselves. It'll cut clips, it'll automatically transcribe for me, it'll adjust what I need it to adjust. It's great. And when I first tried it, I was shocked at how much more professional my episodes felt, which actually made me more excited to show up and record. Now, I do use the Pro plan, which is I think $29 a month or $24 a month if you do the yearly subscription. But you can totally start on their free version just to get a feel for it, and it has just about all the same features. So now that you know how to manage the tech side of podcasting, let's dive into the topic of bringing on guests to your podcast. Now, if you're wanting to just do a solo show, you can skip through this section, but if at any point you're thinking about bringing on guests, you're gonna wanna listen. I know that this part sounds, or is going to sound, time consuming, but definitely hear me out here. Scheduling and follow-up can eat up your life. And you're gonna have to do all of that if you're gonna have guests come on your show. So what I did was develop a workflow system that would make it hands-off for me. So guests apply on my website. I then go in and review their application, which by the way is the only manual task in this workflow until I show up and record. If they get approved, they're automatically sent a contract as well as a scheduling link and a bunch of reminders leading up to the recording. They pick from my preset recording times, which I used to think that I could record multiple podcasts per day and quickly learned that that burned me out super duper fast. So what I recommend is if you're going to pick times, block out a couple, but don't get too overzealous because it becomes really, really demanding and exhausting. But even if you did, like I did, you can always go back and adjust this. So once they've scheduled, my system will send them reminders. And I even created a prep form with microphone and camera tips that help the guests feel far more prepared when they show up to the show. They absolutely love it. And honestly, it helps the recordings go so much smoother because I'm not stuck answering questions in the beginning because the form has already done that. We can just hop right in and start recording. Now, I built this workflow within Dubsado since I was already using it to run my business on. But I'm sure you could use something like Honeybook, Go High Level, which I know is really popular right now, or even Google, if you're okay with doing a few more of the manual tasks. Now, if you want a more in-depth video of how I built this workflow using Dubsado, let me know in the comments and I can absolutely create that for you guys. Now, once you've recorded and edited, it's time to hit upload. Now, everyone can have a different strategy here based on their audience presence. But for me, I share my episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Now, you can totally choose different platforms, but this is what worked best for me. Now, to start, I would recommend just picking one. If you wind up opting to use Riverside, they actually have a feature that allows you to post directly to Spotify. Now, I have not used this myself, but it does seem pretty cool and hopefully streamlines things a little bit more for you. For titles and show notes, I literally just take my Riverside transcript, plop it into ChatGPT, and ask for title and description options. Then I go in and edit it to make sure it still sounds like me, and there aren't any errors like misspelled guest names or the podcast name, because for whatever reason, Riverside likes to spell Brand Bite Podcast as BYTE instead of BITE. So definitely make sure that if you're gonna do this method, you go in and edit it, because it makes mistakes. Now, the kicker is your work doesn't actually end at publishing. And if I'm being honest, this is still the hardest part for me, which is promoting the episodes. Now, maybe that's just because this is the last step in the process and those always trip me up, or because I still struggle a little bit with self-promotion. But the reality is you can't just hit publish on your episode and pray that people find it. I mean, I guess you could, but you're not gonna get very far. You have to promote the episodes and share them that you record. This can be on your social media, on your email list. I'll even sometimes send texts to friends and past clients saying that a new episode has dropped. And to keep this sharing simple, I even created some templates on Canva for those YouTube thumbnails and social posts. That way, I just swap in my guest photo, the new title, and send them a promo pack. Easy peasy, guests have fewer hurdles for sharing the content, and I, again doing this solo, have fewer things that I have to do myself. Since this podcast is just one small part of my business, there are a million other things that need my attention, so I have to make this as easy as possible for me to accomplish. Having those templates and using the pre-made clips from Riverside saves me a ton of time and keeps me from stalling out here. And that's all. The exact way I run my podcast solo with a minimal budget. Yes, you can get fancy later. You can add intros and outros, music, even ads. But if you keep waiting for perfection, you'll never actually be able to launch. And that is what I hope you gained from this video. Now, I'll share the links to all of the things that I talked about in this video so you can check them out yourself and see if they'll work for you. And if you found this step-by-step breakdown helpful, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And again, if you want me to break down any of these other tools that I use or those processes in more detail, let me know in the comments. Now, get out there and start recording. I can't wait to listen to your episodes.